It's time for the Twinsburg Mayor's Report. Kathy Prokop is here, and she will fill you in on what happens when we make our transition from winter to spring. And I guess the top of the list, Kath, well, first is salt, which you'll fill us in on, and then potholes. So where are we going from here?
I can't wait for that transition to take place. I've had enough winter, and it's still cold out there, even though it's spring. Salt, first of all. Our dome is filled. We're ready for next year, and I hope it stays in that salt dome till next year, but you never know. But yes, we are totally filled with salt. The potholes are a different situation. We have filled over 10,000 potholes this year. And you know why. It's that whole freeze and thaw cycle that we get into. We fill them, and then it freezes again. They pop out again. We refill them.
You know, when you say 10,000, it sounds like an astronomical number. Is that just scratching the surface? Are there that
we
many?
keep up with them pretty well. You know, unfortunately, people hit potholes, and as soon as they report them, we have 24 hours that technically we're supposed to repair them in, and generally we do get them done.
You in Cleveland, right?
Yeah. But nevertheless, you know, it's really tough to keep on top of them, especially during a storm event, which is when they get crazy.
Now, if we're done with that, you know, where it goes bitter cold and these things pop out, hopefully we're to the point now where it's not going to get cold enough that where some of these will stick until you actually. The other thing is people have to wait for the asphalt companies to open up again.
Well, that's true, but here's the difference. During the winter, we have to use a cold mix, and that does not hold as well.
Okay.
So the fixes that we do now will use a hot mix patch, and those hold a lot better.
Okay.
So that'll be one thing. Plus, we have lots of road programs going on. For Route 91 is going to be done from Post Road down to the township, or down to the Hudson line, actually. Route 82 is going to be repaved. So a lot of those potholes that we have that have been repaired, well, now there'll be a resurfacing going on.
We'll eliminate that problem. So you don't want to spend a lot of money doing all those if you're going to have these.
Well, you know, we have to obviously do them so that people don't get damage to their cars.
Right.
But you're right. What we'll be doing now is just minimally taking care of the roads as best we can until that resurfacing project is done. I think it's going to start somewhere around June.
Okay, and I don't know if you were at this, but when Don Cookta was here, the ODOT held their kickoff of the season as far as repairing and building and that sort of thing. You know, between, like you said, Route 82 up to your area, a lot of that's going to be redone. 91, a lot of that's going to be redone. And so as many of the problems that are out there now, hopefully the main arteries of the roads are going to be back to either freshly new paved or whatever. So hopefully that's going to rectify it.
It really will. And then that bodes better for the coming season. You know, you won't have the damage to the roads where the water gets in. It'll be newly paved. And so next year we won't have that pothole problem. You know, as the roads get older, you have small cracks, and those are the ones that turn into big potholes.
Problems. Okay. Let me ask you about a couple of meetings, because you were at the same one I was, the State of the County address down in Akron with Russ Pry. You know, there's a lot of collaboration with your city and the county and that sort of thing, and there has to be now, as Don had brought up and as Ann had brought up. The state keeps taking more and more money, not only from the county, but from the cities and everything else. So you have to work together now to get things done.
Oh, absolutely. You know, just like these road projects that we're doing, we get money from ODOT, and we pay usually about 20% of the project. And without that, there is no way that we could get that accomplished. Russ Pry talked a little bit about how many of the communities are using their building department for inspections, and this is just the way we have to go. We have to join forces and make things work.
And she also mentioned about the great job that Glenn's done over in Streetsboro. He's done a lot of work over there, too.
Oh, he really has. The change in that community is pretty amazing, and I think he's done a wonderful job.
Now, another meeting that also was attended by the other two mayors that we have on here on television was a meeting this morning. Do you want to tell me what that was about?
That is the Tinkers Creek Watershed Partners, and once a year they have a mayor's breakfast. We usually change venues, go to different cities. This year it was in Bedford Heights. There are 23 communities in our watershed. There are several wastewater treatment plants. Obviously, the city of Twinsburg has one. And the Watershed Partners helps, again, this is what we're talking about on a regional basis and collaboration, helps communities obtain funding for erosion problems, stream problems, to enhance water quality. We benefited through that partnership with Laurel Creek Stream Restoration, our Pond Brook Stream Restoration. This Pond Brook Stream Restoration is about 2 miles.
Right.
So they really are a good benefit for us. Plus, we have to have our NPDES permit. We have to comply with it. And part of that is education. And the Tinkers Creek Watershed Partners really help us with the education piece. They go throughout the different communities. They have a fair once a year. And their office is located at Twinsburg City Hall.
Oh, okay.
Babette is the executive director there, or coordinator. And we're just really pleased that we have somebody so active in our area. A lot of
Close, right?
Right. A lot of watershed areas don't have an active organization like we do, so it's a benefit for all of us.
Okay. Let me ask a couple things, sticking with the theme of parks and restoration, that sort of thing. With the horrible February that we had, are you still on schedule with your new facility as far as the Nature Center to be opening around the same time that they had hoped to?
Yes, we are. I think the date for the grand opening is May 21st, May 20th or 21st. And Keith Shine and I have been talking about it. It's well underway. For one thing, it was under roof, so a lot of it is the finishing of the inside.
Right.
And then, of course, the landscaping outside when the weather gets nicer. But what an incredible project. We're very, very fortunate.
You know, and you and I have had dealings with Keith Shy for quite some time. Do you think this was you're talking about him is going to be retiring soon. This was probably his last major jewel that he wanted to get done before he calls it quits?
Yes, I think so. And he always told me that before he retired, he was going to get this project done. He kept his word. Mm-hmm. I just have to tell you, I have such respect for this man. What he has done in Summit County is beyond what people realize,
Yeah.
and his legacy is going to be incredible. Just Liberty Park being extended, there's about 3,000 acres up there, and without him, I know it would have never been done. This has
Right.
been his vision and his mission.
And it's coming to fruition now.
And really, I just wish there was some way to better recognize what he has done for our area.
Right. Okay, let me stay along some other ideas along the same lines. Amy Moore, I believe, had some residents in recently to talk about a sidewalk project connecting kind of committee, and I know Liberty Road is also talking about sidewalks.
Right.
Give us an update on what's going on with this.
Well, that particular meeting dealt with State Route 91 from Post Road to McTerrian Parkway.
Okay.
And it would be a great connection for the people who live in the Ledges area, Ethan's Green, to be able to come down Post Road and go over 91 to McTerrian, which leads to the high school, the fitness center,
Okay,
the library.
gotcha.
And we agree. You know, unfortunately, it's not as easy to install a sidewalk as somebody thinks. You just go in there and put down some cement.
Or as cheap as some people think. It's expensive.
It's expensive. You have to get right of way. Over there's lots of stream crossings, and
so if you get the Army Corps people involved,
you get
it's that
everybody
much more,
involved.
yeah.
It has to be designed. The project on Liberty Road, that project right there is $500,000 just for that sidewalk. So, and it's been several years in the making. As you know, these things take time, and especially when you're dealing with government agencies. But anyway, it's a great idea. We're trying to connect Twinsburg with sidewalks and hiking trails and biking trails. It's all in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
It will be accomplished someday, but it's one piece at a time.
Right. But it's nice to know that there's
Have to
people
work on it.
taking an interest in trying to get some of this done.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now let's shift gears and go to the fitness center. After, I'm going to do my math real quick, 2009 you said?
2009.
So for 6 years, the rates have remained the same at the Twinsburg Fitness Center. There came a time now where they had to go up a little bit, and I think the reason cited was, people's salaries go up over that time.
Oh, sure.
And there comes a certain time where you're going to top out the number of memberships you're going to have. So is that what was the thought in raising the rates?
Oh, absolutely. As you said, I think we're really at our peak for memberships. You can always maybe get a few more, but it seems like a little over 7,000 is where we topped out, and we're holding there, which we're very proud of because, as I mentioned before, years ago, feasibility study said the maximum we'd probably ever get was 3,000.
Right.
So we've really done well with that. But utility costs go up. Personnel costs go up. That center, well, in fact, the entire Parks and Rec division only has 12 full-time employees. That's pretty incredible when you consider we run an outdoor water park, community center, senior center, fitness center, and the rest are part-time employees and contracted employees for programming. So we try to keep our costs down as best we can. We do a great job, and and I think that's a testament that the rates haven't been raised since
Right.
2009, that they really do a good job of keeping costs down. But there comes a time.
And they
that-
weren't astronomical because I
know.
read what they were before versus what they're going to be.
They're really not. A monthly rate for a family is $49 a month, and I think that's a bargain. It really is. Plus, they're reinstituting the senior program for those seniors. Most of the seniors belong to the Silver Sneaker program,
right.
and they get free admission, free exercise. But there are seniors that don't have that. Excuse me, and they can pay $13 a month and go to the fitness center between 9 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Works for them, works for us, and we're happy to
That's
have
probably the downtime, right?
It is.
Correctly? Okay. Let me talk about now the fire contract, which I didn't realize. I think you've already taken care of this as far as with the township.
We have, yes.
Okay.
And the fire contract has been renewed for 3 years, starting this year. It's $585,000. This is the fire contract with the township for fire and EMS. And we have an accelerator on every year. So it's maybe a little bit over 2%, but that will expire at the end of 2017. So for the next 3 years, we have their prices set for them. And we know that they have continuing services.
You know, in the last few go-rounds with this, it's gone real smooth as far as negotiations. And I remember at one time it wasn't that easy.
Well, you know, I think the secret to all this is keep it simple. And we had, it was the same way with the fitness center years ago when we had a cost sharing with the sports organizations, with the high school, and there were all these convoluted, complicated formulas. And now we've come down to a set rate for the fitness center. We've come down to just a set formula for Twins Days, for the fire contract, and it works much better. There's less to discuss and to try to manipulate. It's a flat fee, and this is what it is. And you have an escalator on it. It works really well.
And I think along those same lines, over the years, I think the township realizes they're getting a lot of bang for the buck. So it's, before when it was argumentative way back when, where else are you going to go and get something? Or doing it on your own is astronomical to get it up and running too.
Oh, that's absolutely the truth. And they realize that we have a first-rate service there, new equipment, well-trained people, and they get good value, good service for the money. And obviously they agree with that because we've been in lockstep for the last half a dozen years now, so it's good.
Let me go back before we take our break. One more question, recreation-wise. You mentioned only about the 12 people that are in charge of doing all this. However, there is a major influx of seasonal people that come in the summer. Is this the time of year where kids, if they're interested, is it around now? Or
well, it's already pretty well past.
Oh, it's already come and gone.
Yeah,
But how many
not
do you
quite
add?
gone.
You add an astronomical amount of people.
Between part-time and seasonal, we go from 165 employees probably to about 350 during our peak season, and it's amazing the amount of seasonal work.
You're right, because if I remember right, a lot of this is applied during the Christmas holiday where the kids are home and that sort of thing.
We do have it then too, but summer is really the high time with the lifeguards, the camp counselors. We need
everything.
right. We need people on Glen Eagles Golf Course, service department. So there's a lot of opportunity during this time of year. There may be some positions that haven't been filled yet, but even our volunteers, we're in the process right now of filling the volunteer positions.
All right. Let's take our break. It's time for meetings for April, and then we got a lot more to talk about, so stay with us. Back with Kathy Prokop from Twinsburg. In case we get bogged down on things we're talking about, let's get our Easter festivities out of the way, because you have a lot of different things that go on for adults, which happened last week, I know, down to the kids. So do you want to bring these up real quick?
Sure. First of all, the adult Easter egg hunt takes place outside. This year we changed our venue. It was at the fitness center. It was really, really cool. We had we had a great venue with a band indoors and projection of designs and decorations all over. It was really a fun time, and we had good weather for a change. Sometimes we have snow and rain, and it was really nice outside. But coming up, we have all of our kid events on April 4th, and that starts with Breakfast with the Bunny. We have a wet Easter egg hunt in the pool, and we also have the Candy Scramble. So lots of fun times coming up.
Now, is most of that over at the rec center also?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Kind of packing it all into one day.
And is there a cost with the Breakfast with the Bunny for
There is a
pictures
cost, and you have to make reservations for
How
that.
do we do that? That's what I'm getting at.
Call the Parks and Recreation Department, and they'll make sure that you get a reservation.
Okay. Let's stick with spring. I think of golf, and I think of the fact that Twinsburg Glen Eagles may soon have a clubhouse. What is the update on that sort of thing?
And there's a real good possibility. We'll see. Council just approved entering into a contract with Prospectus Architects.
Okay.
And that'll run us about $238,000. We're looking at the plan design and the construction documents. So this will be taking place over this probably the next 6 months or so.
Okay.
And then hopefully, if it's a design and a cost that council likes, we will be able to go out to bid for construction in 2016.
And
It's
let's
pretty
say,
exciting.
and if everything goes as planned, about 12 months to build this?
I would think, yes.
Okay.
So it would open probably in the fall of 2016 or towards the end of the year.
But again, this may open up, and I don't know if opens up a revenue source as far as added revenue. But then, if it is bringing in money for banquets, etc., you don't have to rely on the general fund as much, probably, right? If you're able to use it towards
Absolutely,
strictly-
that's the intention. We had a feasibility study 10 years ago or so, and they in that study it said that there definitely would be a revenue stream if we had a banquet center.
Right.
So that's what we're going back to, that original study. We have confirmed it, that there is a need in the area. The banquet center itself would be about 225 people would be in there. A larger snack bar with restaurant facilities, a pro shop, and
Still, it's as well as your course does in a lot of these periodicals, an added clubhouse would probably.
it would take us over the top.
Yeah.
That and all of the course improvements that are going on. The range is going to be really, really spectacular, I believe now. And then the putting green, we doubled the size from 3,000 square feet to 6,000 square feet. Realigned a lot of these holes. We've made play faster. It's going to be amazing. I think people will be really surprised what they see out there on the course this year. And to have a clubhouse would really take us up to the top.
Okay, and that's moving ahead full steam, which is good. Now, I'm going to jokingly say nothing against the veterans, but for all of us old Baptist people,
Yeah.
I was an old Babka person. You named the park after that facility was taken away, Babka's Park. That was changed recently to Veterans Park. And
Right.
what was who spearheaded this? Again, the VFW is right next door to this park, correct?
They are, and I believe that the request came from them. But it's absolutely appropriate. It's right next door to their building, their facility. They use it. I think it's a great honor. We have a really patriotic city, and I'm sure you see that with our Memorial Day
Yep.
parade, the Cost of Freedom
Yep.
tribute that's coming in July, and we support both the military, our responders, our first responders. So I think this is a sense of pride for the entire community to name it Veterans Park. The Babka family was wonderful. We loved their burgers. But I have to say that many of the new people, they don't relate to that name anymore, even though it's a piece of history. But
Yeah, a lot
I
of people
just
probably
love
know what Babka's was originally if you're just moving here in the last 10 years.
Right, but I really, really think that this is an appropriate name change for that park, and pleased that we're able to do it.
Yep. Okay. Let me talk to you about the. We're going to backtrack. I want to get your thoughts because this is the last one of these you did. Your State of the City address was held once again, the 16th or 17th. I don't remember.
17th.
They're all rolling into each other. But again, it was your final one. Again, a lot of information was passed out there as far as a PowerPoint, that sort of thing. Do you think it went well?
I did.
Yeah.
The venue was a little bit different because we usually have a
Yeah.
luncheon. We had a breakfast, so that changed it.
Don't remind me.
And I hope that my message came through in that last State of the City. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in the last, almost 16 years. but especially I wanted to recognize all of our department heads and our employees at the City of Twinsburg.
Some have put a lot of time
They
in.
have put in a tremendous a lot of time and heart into their jobs. They're really dedicated. They love the city. They love what they do, and they have great education, knowledge, and skills, and that's what I wanted to focus on. I'll be gone, but they will be there, and they will continue on and continue to do a great job for the city.
And I think you kind of, leading into this, if that wasn't the case, you wouldn't have an easy time renewing contracts with different organizations within the city. And I understand the police contracts was not a big deal, and that's coming up for a vote.
The 3 union contracts in the police
Unions, right.
department, that would be the communications center, sergeants, and police officers. So those are up for final reading.
And you think that's probably going to go through?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, this is exciting because we spent a lot of time a couple of years ago talking about if all the communities regionalized and had that one dispatch center over at the Cleveland Clinic, that would be wonderful. Not everyone got on board, so that kind of went by the wayside. However, that doesn't mean that you can't improve what you have now, and this is an exciting thing that's coming down the road for your communications center.
It is exciting. It's probably one of my biggest disappointments is that we weren't able to pull together and get that regional dispatch center going. I believe that it would have been economies of scale. It would have really serviced this entire region. Russ Pry, as you know, said Summit County eventually will only have 4 to 5 PSAPs. I was hoping that we would be one of them.
Right.
But it didn't turn out that way. So the last major improvement that we had in the communication center was at the end of the 90s.
Okay.
It's a long time coming. We try to hold off till we knew which direction we were going in. But since the regional center is not happening, we are investing in our communication center. It's a $600,000 improvement that we're doing. It will be new consoles, of course. We will have an entire new communication system, a 9/11 system. It needed to be upgraded
It's not
and
cheap,
updated.
but it needs to be done.
Absolutely.
And if it gets down to when they go to this countywide, you'll kind of be ready to go.
We
then
will
from
be
this
ready to
point.
go. We will have some additional centers that we'll be able to move other people into. So if it works out in the future, so be it, and I hope it does.
But better to be on the front end than the back end of doing these improvements.
Definitely, we will be prepared.
When will that start?
That's underway right now.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Right.
All right. Let's crunch some numbers here as we wind things down a little bit. You're very happy with the general fund increase. So tell us what the budget looks like, because that's also coming up for a vote, which probably will get approved too.
Final vote, and we have been working on this. Karen House, our finance director, starts about June when we start putting together a capital program for the next year, and then we start going over the budgets, working with council in August, September. So it's been fine-tuned. We've really worked hard at it. The budget for this year will be approved at the next council meeting. It's $62 million, big budget. And I'm very happy that the general fund budget only went up 5%. The general fund is salaries, wages, benefits, and you know health care costs are always going up, and that's usually the biggest cost there in that operation fund. But the general fund is only going up 5%. Overall, we're going up 13%. A lot of that, again, though, is our road program,
Right.
some big capital projects that we have going on. And we're projecting that we'll have about $27.5 million in our ending balance at the end of 2015. So that's good news that, you know, that we're definitely in the red and doing well.
In the black, you mean?
In the black, I'm sorry.
I'm saying you scared me there.
Yeah, that would scare me too. It scared me.
Again, I say this every year when you start throwing big numbers out like that. Karen House is great at what she does.
She
too.
is.
Yeah, I
She
mean,
really is.
there's a lot of number crunching to do and projections to do, and she's usually pretty close.
Yeah, she's definitely a tremendous finance director, a great asset to the city. Not only that, but I really think that council and the department heads enjoy working with her because she gives out lots of information and it takes everybody step by step on what they need to do. And when they have a request, she really works through it with them.
And if they do, she lets the council people. I mean, it seems like the line of communication.
Good
is
communication,
sorted out.
absolutely.
Okay. Let's talk by an update on Cornerstone Park there and how things are going.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's some real, especially as bad as the winter was. They're still getting a lot done.
Yeah, well, they're doing that tilt wall construction, so it's not just seeing brick by brick. They just put a whole wall up at
Right.
once. It looks like a big Lego project. But if you go down Chamberlain Road and really look at the length of that building, 300,000 square feet, it's incredible. And they're starting the spec building, which is right on on the Chamberlain Road side, and that'll be
Okay.
about 200,000 square feet. They're doing the site work right now. Again, I'm just so happy about the DiGeronimo family being part owner of that, and Skinnell Properties just ended up with the right people to work with and people who have the best interests of the property.
And
the
again,
city.
I still say when these things are up and running, it's going to be a domino effect. The rest of it's going to fill itself with all those other things.
Oh, I agree.
You know, I was talking about Keith Shy, about him retiring and getting this last piece of the jewel going in. Is this one area that you can leave comfortably and retire knowing that the Lost Chrysler plant is going to have life and the city won't have to suffer because they left in the long run?
Absolutely. Even though obviously it won't be completed, it'll take
Right.
take years till it's completed. 167 acres is a lot of land to develop, which I'm very thankful that we have. But yes, that was one of my nightmares, that we could have ended up with 167 acres of blight just sitting there and boarded up and fenced up, and it could have been a real sad situation for our city. So to see it recover in a matter of 5-6 years, or enter into recovery, is just amazing. And yes, it gives me peace of mind that something positive's going on.
And not to have to cost the residents $1 zillion to do it, because again, those grants came in for clearing things out, and the EPA testing, that was all paid for through, a lot of it was paid for through grants.
Well, $5.2 million through
Yeah.
grants that we received, and then the owners, of course, putting in another $12 million.
Right.
But those environmental concerns, that was a main priority, getting that taken care of, and we did that.
And you got ripped off, because if people don't remember, they told you one thing and the next day it was completely different.
That was a
I mean, it was a
nightmare.
blindsided effect.
Absolutely. We were on a conversation, a phone conference with mayors and governors from different surrounding states. All of us had Chrysler plants in our communities. We were, at least Twinsburg was indicated as one of the cities that would maintain its Chrysler plant.
And then boom.
That night, I got a total different story.
Yeah.
It was pretty
And
horrendous.
good thing you got on that plane. But we'll talk about that when you retire. We'll go through a lot of these things that have happened over the years. Lastly, and this is also to leave on a very positive note, and we don't know what publication, or at least I don't, but Twinsburg, again, another high ranking in a publication. You want to tell us about that?
Number 7 in the state for a great place for young families. Not just education and safety, but also for value. So we're very, very pleased about that, and we hope more young families will come in, take a look at Twinsburg and all the great things we have.
You did that thing not too long ago where you had the demographics of Twinsburg and the fact that it was aging and that sort of thing. This has got to be a nice thing to get, because of the fact it's not all an older population
Yeah.
here. It's still a great magnet for young people.
We're pretty well rounded. We have a great senior population with services for them, and obviously, all the things we always report on for families and kids, and it's a well-rounded community.
All right. Well, that's a good way to finish out this one. So thanks
Great.
for coming by. It's good
Thank
to have
you.
you back. We'll see you next month. Kathy and I will return.